It's time for our perspective segment next. Now, Brazil's president has been in office for almost a week after being sworn in on New Year's Day. Since taking office, he has already jolted the country further to the right. The Labour Ministry has been eradicated, indigenous rights have been undermined, and the LGBT community no longer enjoys the explicit protection of the Human Rights Ministry. The speedy measures, which please his populist base, were undertaken through executive orders with virtually no political cost. To talk more about Brazil under Bolsonaro, we can bring in Marcia Camargos, historian, writer and journalist, as well as former member of the Workers' Party, who now lives in Paris for the past 3 years. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
How worried are you about Brazil under Bolsonaro?
We are all very, very worried because it's a kind of tragedy. You just said about the indigenous people, and they, after taking office, he has just took a measure that will endanger very much so, because he took out from FUNAI, which is an agency that after 50 years was in charge of the Indians. They cannot demarcate their territory anymore, and that goes to the Minister of Agribusiness. So we can just imagine what is going to happen. Many with this tribes that the unconnected tribes, there are more than around 100 of them, mainly in the Amazon area, and they've already been suffering quite a lot with the illegal loggers, the miners, gold miners, and so on. And just I quote President Bolsonaro. He said that I'm not getting into this nonsense of defending land for Indians. And he went as far as saying that it was a pity that Brazilian cavalry wasn't as efficient as the Americans that just exterminated the Indians in the United States. So that we need the help from all over the world to stop this genocide.
But do you think he's just pleasing his base because these measures were undertaken during his first week in office, and that this won't necessarily shape his presidency?
Well, we are afraid that he is going to promote those some of those measures, but at least we know that some people will put a fight. For instance, the leader Sônia Guajajara, she said that she's one of the indigenous people leader, and she said that they will not watch this genocide with the arms crossed. They will take action, they will fight back, and that is what's happening to the whole of the Brazilian society, who will not accept easily accept the destruction that has been promised by the Bolsonaro as civil rights regarding the LGBT's rights, as you said, and so on.
Now, you've been saying that people are worried in Brazil.
Yes.
But people still voted for Bolsonaro to come into office. And this is because of the other candidates on offer, which was Fernando Haddad, who was of the Workers' Party, who you were a former member of.
Sure.
I mean, this was a protege of the jailed former president Lula da Silva. Clearly, people in the country fed up with corrupt politician after corrupt politician.
It wasn't quite so, but to start with, he didn't receive the majority of the votes, but actually because he received 57.7%, Haddad 47 million, and 42 people didn't vote at all. But those who voted for him didn't vote for him. They voted against the Workers' Party.
Indeed. Because
of a campaign of fake news. He used those Twitter, Facebook, and WhatsApp, trying to show the Workers' Party as the most corrupted in all history, which is not true, but we know that a lie told many, many times, it becomes a true. And so people believed in that, and Lula is a political prisoner that Sérgio Moro...
So you're saying he's a political prisoner?
He is a political prisoner because, the judge Sérgio Moro, he skipped many steps, judicial steps, to jail him, to convict him, very quickly, in order to pave the way for Bolsonaro, because everybody knew that if Lula ever presented himself, he would have been elected in the first round.
But if Lula is a political prisoner, as you say, Lula da Silva still remains popular in Brazil, right?
Very so.
So if he's so popular, how come the man he handpicked to be the president could not win?
Well, but he was... Lula is very charismatic. And after they succeeded in putting him into prison, they started a huge campaign with lots of money to spread those fake news. And you know that that middle class who are very afraid, they are concerned with the violent issue in Brazil, because we have, as you know, about 60,000 people killed by violent means each year. So he promised that he would allow the guns to be sold everywhere. And they think that this is a question not of social matter, but if you have a gun with you at home, you are safe, which is not true. And the evangelical network as well that helped Bolsonaro to win the elections.
Now, there are a lot of similarities between Bolsonaro and the US President Donald Trump. But let's talk about women's rights, for instance, because Bolsonaro has harsh words for women in the past. Are you worried about women's rights in the country?
Very much so, so that before he took office, we had demonstrations, not him, ele não, all over the world, even here in Paris. We had some. We went to the Place de la République, and we are facing that. And mainly the poor women, the black women, which are the greatest targets of the violence. And we have the case of Marielle Franco, which hasn't been solved up to now. Who killed her?
We're going to have to leave it there, Maria Carmagos. Thank you very much for joining us on the program today.